Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Band from Ringside.
Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, holy shit, do we have a lot of stuff to talk about. We got your Money in the Bank recap. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan have already reportedly been signed to AEW. John Cena makes his big return. Nikki Ash cashes in her Money in the Bank already. Night 2 of Fyter Fest. And Jeff Hardy won the NXT belt on Raw. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast.
Why they had that man come out there with that title and they have him get squashed like that? That ain't even right.
I've been thinking about that since it happened.
Jesus
I've been thinking about that
Christ.
joke. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Papa Bongo.
That's my dog.
I don't know if you knew this. I have a kid that's pretty close to being here. And sitting right across from me in South St. Louis, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Allow us to bow our heads as we read from the latest edition of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 215, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart said, hashtag boo the heels. It is all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat, the holy trinity of BFR. I won't even say it's an interesting week this week. It is a loaded fucking week of wrestling. It started with SmackDown, with the fans coming back, Slammiversary, Money in the Bank, Raw afterwards, Fyter Fest on Wednesday, NXT on Tuesday. This was literally a week where there was no New Japan to kind of throw in the mix, and it still felt like this was a loaded fucking week of wrestling to talk about.
I can't think of another week that we've had that has more news than this week. So
in and out of the ring.
So listen, when you say give me 30 seconds, I'm going to need you to just give me 30 seconds. Because I know that your 30 seconds is like 3.5, 4 minutes, something like that.
Give or take, depending on how fast I talk.
Get your notes out.
I'm ready, baby. I'm ready, baby.
Like I said, we're coming at you from steamy South St. Louis. It is fucking hot still. I know I say it every week. Fucking bummer that Zach isn't here. Zach would have so much to say about this, and he would bring his, what shall we say, his unique perspective to this podcast. But he's going to be back with us soon, and soon enough, I'm going to have to take a couple weeks off. The baby's almost here, and then it's going to be you and Zach, and then you're going to get your fill of Zach.
No shit.
Plenty of cum jokes and whatever else kind of jokes he tells.
My racial jokes, his cum jokes. It's going to be a great week.
You guys remember Zach. Listen, like I told you, we have a baby on the way, so buy some Bill's Beard Company. Go ahead, hit me up at BFR Bill on Twitter. We got Bill's Beard Balm, beard oil, beard shampoo, bath bombs, shower bombs. Hit me up on at BFR Bill on Twitter, and we'll ship anywhere throughout the globe for free.
He's done it before. He'll do it again.
I did it before. I did it this week.
Look at you, baller.
Without further ado, let's get to that 3 count.
Yeah, let's do this shit.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Man, where do we start?
Where do you start? I know.
We didn't say where exactly we wanted to start, so let's start outside of the ring first, because I think that's probably the most interesting, story of the week. So, obviously, Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson, has been a free agent for quite some time, and there has been scuttlebutt from last week's episode, word of the day, scuttlebutt of him going to AEW. So we've talked about this before on this podcast, whether or not we thought he was going to AEW. I personally didn't necessarily give this too much of a thought. I'm a firm believer that in this scenario, it's something to be said about being comfortable and knowing what WWE brings to you and all this other good stuff with changes on the way. I thought it would behoove Daniel Bryan, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson, to stay in WWE. Apparently, that's not the case.
That's not what he thought.
The scuttlebutt, once again, it has not been confirmed, so we are going with a rumor on this, but I think it's very interesting to talk about because this rumor has gained a lot of steam as of the last 12 hours, give or take, where you have certain sources that won't confirm it, but are pretty much on the edge of saying that he has signed with AEW, he being Daniel Bryan.
No, just we know what you meant.
I guess here's the question. If he has signed with AEW,
Yes.
what is first for Daniel Bryan? Do we have him in the States? Does he go over to Japan like the rumor is that the deal? That's the deal breaker of him coming back to WWE, is that Vince will not allow him to go to New Japan.
Meltzer said, and Meltzer is the guy when it comes. I mean, you can hate him or love him.
He's one of the guys. He's one of the guys. There's like 2 or 3 guys I look for.
There's Sean Ross Sapp,
yeah.
Ryan Satin. Those are guys that you look to. Dave Meltzer is probably 20 years older than both those guys. I mean, he's been doing it for a lot longer.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm just saying.
Dave Meltzer's the guy that invented the star rating. Dave Meltzer's the guy that, listen, I don't even like him that much, but he's kind of the guy that you go to. He's kind of like the Adam Schefter of wrestling. Okay?
Fair enough.
Is that fair? He has said that it's a done deal, that AEW has signed Bryan Danielson, and that that Bryan Danielson showed a lot of loyalty towards WWE, but ultimately it was a deal breaker where, like you said, he could work in New Japan. That's a huge deal for you and I.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Huge deal for Zach Pullman. Certainly. This is about as exciting as it gets, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but I don't think that we can talk about Bryan Danielson. I know it's hard to do, right? I don't think we can talk about Bryan Danielson join. Well, you know what? Let's just do that.
No, let's do it. Let's just say for shits and giggles, he signed with AEW. What are we doing with Daniel Bryan? Or
I know
Bryan Danielson.
It's fucking impossible. I would. I mean, I know what. I wouldn't put him immediately with Kenny Omega.
No.
I would probably put him in some kind of, maybe him and Miro. Maybe
I can go with that. That's a start.
Maybe he takes the
TNT title.
The TNT title from Miro, and would make Miro look like $1 million fucking doing it. Obviously, because he's still at his advanced age of 38 or 39. He's still,
I guess,
if not the best wrestler going, one of the best.
Here's the better question when it comes to the AEW WWE quote unquote war. Would you book him at any point being the champion?
Of course, you have to. I mean, he's if Daniel Bryanson, fuck it. That's why I'm just calling him that from now on.
We just mashed both names together. Fuck it.
If he becomes a part of AEW at any point in the near future, and you start putting him on TV, then you have to put the belt on him. If you want to compete in a real way with WWE, which AEW is on the verge of anyway, when you look at WWE ratings, not necessarily WWE merchandise sales and shit like that. But if we're just talking about ratings, then of course you got to put in the main event picture. Yes, I mean,
but that's different than being the champion. I'm talking about,
of course, put the belt on him.
Okay.
Now you don't have to put the belt on him immediately. You can have Don Callis, who made me laugh out loud literally 15 times today while I was watching Slammiversary. Put him in and he can cut and Daniel Bryan can cut a promo like
nobody's business. Yeah,
he's an A+ promo. He really is. Yeah, you got to put him there, and I apologize to all the guys on the AEW roster that have been building that way. But when Daniel Bryan, a rising tide floats all boats. You got to make Daniel Bryan champion sooner rather than later, even on top of Kenny Omega, because Kenny Omega is not as well known to American audiences as Daniel Bryan is. And putting Kenny Omega, and also Daniel Bryan can do heel or babyface both so well. And even WWE crowds who aren't as savvy as AEW crowds, I think we can say that with a straight face.
I'll just add this argument today.
Even WWE crowds will flip on Daniel Bryan once he turns heel because
it's already happening.
Because he's so fucking good at it. I'm just talking about kayfabe style.
Kayfabe style.
I'm saying if he's in ring and he decides to flip heel,
right?
I mean, him and Kenny Omega are both so good they could do a double flip easily. A double switch easily. So yes, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that the guys that they brought over so far, Christian, Andrade, fill in the blanks, are guys that Andrade is the one that they brought over so far that I can see at some point being the champion. And I wouldn't have Miro too. I can see that as well. I like the fact that they haven't thrust them right into the title picture. As long as they don't do the same thing with Daniel Bryan and just kind of ease him in, I'll be okay with
totally different animal, though.
I'm not saying it's a totally different animal. I agree with the fact that Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, who we're going to talk about here in a second, both could be game changers. I'm not going to sit up here and disagree with that. I just like, me personally, I like the fact that they're easing them into it versus our usual argument with WWE is if you bring in Goldberg, just for the example, because he showed up on Monday night, he's already thrusted into the title picture. He doesn't have to jump any hoops. Yeah. He doesn't have to do anything.
Sure.
Okay, that to me is the difference, and that's why I like the AEW style just a little bit better than the WWE style.
That's fair enough, but I think that you're kind of underplaying how big of a signing Bryan Danielson or CM Punk would be. Now, we can bring CM Punk into the conversation now because it's also been rumored in the last couple hours. Now, I was sitting at a stoplight in St. Charles when I read this shit, that it's being reported that CM Punk is very close to a deal with AEW if he hasn't already signed one.
Yeah.
So, if you put Bryan Danielson and CM Punk,
which he couldn't be CM Punk in AEW, I think.
Yes, he could.
I thought WWE owned the rights to it.
Well, he was CM Punk way before WWE, though.
Good point.
Doesn't matter.
No, let's just say he's CM Punk. Fine.
If they're both signed by AEW, then we are talking about a sea change in the wrestling landscape. Because all of a sudden they
feel
AEW,
more legitimate because these are guys that
not more legitimate. They're fucking fearsome.
No. Let's just hang on. They feel more legit just because for those that are not like us, that are casual fans that remember CM Punk and or Daniel Bryan from the WWE days, if you tell them, hey, these guys are on this show on this night, that's going to, the thought, at least the hope, that those eyes will at least start to move over to this night where they're going to be on, and then you can kind of go from there. The biggest problem, I think, is that we're trying to, I guess the goal is, better choice of words, the goal is to grow the audience. So bringing in Miro, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, I get all that, and all good moves. My worry is, now that you get them, what do you do with them?
Okay, so let me ask you this, because you and I could belabor the point for hours. If they get Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, and they're both on AEW, and they're with the Young Bucks and Moxley and Omega and Adam Page and Death Triangle and Eddie Kingston and all these guys.
Andrade.
If I didn't say him, I meant to.
No, trust me. I'm over here like Jesus, yeah.
If you have all those guys at the top to mid card, and that's a pretty good mix of WWE castaways for better or for worse, guys that got sick of doing whatever WWE
Released
does.
or contract was expired, whatever.
And all these indie darlings,
Right.
you know, like Penta and fucking Phoenix and Pat
Darby
and all
Allin.
these guys, and Darby Allin and all these guys. Lance Archer.
Lance
We had a
Archer.
big night the other night.
But do you remember the bet for that?
No, do I owe you money?
No.
Do you owe me money?
No. You all said bet, but we'll talk about that in a second.
If you put all these guys at the mid to top card on AEW and you put them all there for a year, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and all the rest of those guys, because CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are the two biggest free agents out there by far.
On the men's side, for sure. I can't think of anybody else. Tessa Blanchard is the one that I keep waiting to get signed, and that's obviously on the women's side. But they're
I mean, the only bigger
Brock Lesnar.
I was going to say Brock Lesnar. The only bigger signing that you could have is Brock Lesnar, and I'm not even sure that's a completely different conversation.
Yeah.
That we could go on for another.
Yeah, that's
but
another rabbit hole.
Let's leave it here. Can you see them selling out Madison Square Garden with
Easy.
that kind?
Easy. They're getting ready to.
Can you see them doing a WrestleMania style event with 50,000
the super
people
card?
in it?
Yeah, the super card where they did it. I guess it was 2019. It was it would have been AEW essentially. Ring of Honor and New Japan, they basically did the Madison Square Garden show the weekend of WrestleMania. I think that was 2019.
Well, then that, my friend, is a challenger, and that's big time.
Yeah, I think if you could figure this out and do this a year from now, because obviously COVID is going to play some issues and travel restrictions and all this other shit. A year from now, if you can sign CM Punk and Daniel Bryan right now, a year from now, you can have a monster-ass show where you can have Ring of Honor, a second super card of guys across the board where you can have AEW, legit AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact, who wasn't there the first time around. You can have those four promotions for sure, maybe AAA as the fifth, and then just go absolutely bonkers with a super card that could rival something that WWE does.
You don't even need the last two promotions that you even mentioned. You don't even fucking need Impact, really.
We'll say that.
We'll get to that later. Anyway, I think you proved my point. We got to keep it moving, like I said.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, there's plenty to talk about.
Let's get to that, 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, 2 count was the Money in the Bank pay-per-view that happened on Sunday night. I got mixed up in some Twitter shit. I don't know how you do it all the time.
Dude, I saw that.
You want me to start with that? Motherfuckers. You want me to start with that? All right. So the Usos, they win the belts, right?
Yeah.
Who'd they win the belts off?
All the Mysterios and the pre-show, which
Yeah.
I'll just say this. This is the matches that I loved pretty much everything about this WWE pay-per-view.
It was good.
Which to me says a lot.
It was an A pay-per-view.
It was. For WWE, for any standard. I'll just go with that. For any standard, this was an A minus, dare I say, an A show. Just for the simple
Agreed.
fact of what you did with the surprises, how you made certain people as, Money in the Bank winners, and then, swerves here and there. I thought this was so well done. It didn't feel like 3.5 hours. I looked up, it was 10 o'clock, and we were in the main event. I'm like, damn, okay, shit, let's keep this shit rolling. So in that scenario, I have to agree with you. This was really well done for Sunday night.
So it starts off with the Usos winning, and Jimmy Uso got his 3rd DUI a few nights prior, right? Or was it like a week prior?
It was like a week ago. Yeah, it was the week before.
So he gets his 3rd DUI. And I am, against my better judgment, I got the pay-per-view on. I'm just laying on the couch. I'm not drinking. I'd been drinking a little bit before, but I wasn't by any means.
I thought you were totally drinking. I have the vision in my head of you on the phone with beer to your right.
I had been drinking before, but I had stopped drinking. I had already gotten my Jack in the Box. Once my Jack in the Box is there, I'm done drinking.
Okay.
I'm on the couch chilling.
No, I ain't mad at you. Shit. Far from it.
And so, like, wrestling Twitter is just a bunch of fucking cops, man. Just so many fucking cops. Because the Usos win, Jimmy gets his third DUI a week ago. They win, and everybody says, "Ooh, I guess Vince just he just rewards Jimmy for getting his DUI." It's like, hey, motherfucker, Vince ain't his dad. It's not. It has nothing to do with the DUI. Who knows what happened behind the scenes? Who knows what Vince said to him? Who knows if Vince said anything to him? What the fuck is it your guys' business? And then everybody says, "Oh, I guess you're pro-drunk driving." It's like, no, I'm not pro-drunk driving. I'm just not privy to the situation.
Agreed.
Backstage, and it's none of my fucking business. You fucking pussy cops. Every single one of you. I hate it.
Go to BFR Bill to see the thread. It's an amazing thread.
Oh, I got... I mean, you...
I
mean,
drop in every now and then. It's like,
maybe you'll be able to see that Deadspin writer David Bixenspan, who I always liked and I always respected, and then he started fucking sicking his dogs on me. It's like, fuck you, dude, and fuck your fucking minions. It's fucking wrestling.
That quote tweet can get the dogs out there real fast, real quick.
Oh yeah, it can. I mean, fuck you, David Bixenspan.
I mean,
bitch.
It wasn't like motherfucking Mark, when he did the AEW span, but it felt like it was starting to pick up a little speed when Blood Girl Raven was like, "Hey, you see what's going over here?" I was like, "Yes, I do."
Oh, and then the fucking dork fucking blocks me like as soon as he gets it, and like, hey, motherfucker. You block me and then you talk shit about me?
Right.
I have 3 other Twitter accounts. I'll find you, motherfucker. He blocked the other one, too, you fucking dork.
Oh, that's amazing.
Anyway, my biggest takeaway from this
is
that drunk driving is good. Everybody should try it. Fucking dorks.
You ain't shit.
My biggest takeaway was that Big E won the Money in the Bank and John Cena returned.
Okay, I was getting ready to say, come on.
Which one of those is bigger?
It's John Cena, and I don't even like John Cena, okay?
Didn't you know, though, that when the Money in the Bank wasn't on last, you had to know John Cena was coming back, right?
Well, that was the rumor. That and Goldberg. It was just, how you were going to make it play itself out. Now, that being said, was I surprised? No. But, I mean, they played it to where, you had, in my opinion, another really good Roman Reigns match, one of the better ones he's had. We can rank him at some point.
It was fucking dope.
Yeah.
It was great.
No, I saw some people like, "Oh, it's boring. It's boring." I'm like, okay, look, you guys. I mean, this is what Roman Reigns has done in the Thunderdome and now outside of the Thunderdome. If you don't like Roman Reigns at this point, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, damn.
This is the last I'll talk about wrestling Twitter, but this is all wrestling Twitter is person A yelling at person B, "Everybody's overreacting but me." And then person B saying to person A, "Listen, everybody's overreacting but me." It's like, it was a good fucking match.
It was really good.
And Roman Reigns is all character. He's
right. That's okay. That's where I think my problem is because Roman Reigns is more so great character, good wrestler, and that story that they already had coming in played itself out in the ring. You're asking for either to have it like this or to have Roman Reigns completely change how he is, how his character is, how he wrestles. He's not going to be doing no Ricochet type shit. This is just who he is. And I thought they played this so really well. You brought Seth Rollins into the mix. The Usos got cut off at the pass.
Yep.
I mean, I don't understand what people are complaining about at this point. This and Kenny Omega are the 2 biggest stories in professional wrestling right now. You have one of the 2 and you are still complaining. I do not understand what the fucking problem is.
Listen.
This was another good fucking match, and they're only going to get better because John Cena's on deck, and you have a completely different Roman Reigns than the first time around. That Roman Reigns, we were on this podcast when that Roman Reigns met that John Cena, and that John Cena ate his lunch. Every fucking turn they was on it. It was a promo. I was cringing because I was like, what you gonna say this week? What you gonna say this week?
Stumbled over his words.
Yeah, it was just like, damn, come on, Roman. It was actually
kind of mean.
Yeah, but it just reinforced John Cena's point. I wouldn't have to come back if you were doing your job. And now Roman Reigns is doing his fucking job. He is the biggest star in WWE, and now it comes full circle. I am all in for this match.
I hate to agree with Jason. I'm also all in on this match. The return pop was massive, and every motherfucker that was out there trying to argue, and I don't want this to be a straw man thing, but I did see people on Twitter saying the Thunderdome's better, and maybe it's a bunch of Vince, like maybe it's like Kevin Durant out there with a bunch of burners, or me talking to David Bix's fan. You fucking bitch! Okay, find me in St. Louis. I'll kill you.
I'm about to say you wouldn't last 5 minutes in St. Louis. We'll drop you over here by my house. Put him on the corner. What happened? Oh, get his wallet.
But I forgot what I was saying.
That the Thunderdome was better.
Oh, people saying the Thunderdome is better.
That's absolutely nonsense.
It's so stupid. Maybe Vince liked it better for a little while, but the crowd being there and the crowd popping for John Cena was a moment. That's a moment.
Well, the crowd popping all night long, good, bad, or indifferent. When
they loved Alexa Bliss, and then they died when she started doing hocus pocus shit.
When Charlotte, when they were chanting, "We want Becky," and Charlotte threw up the double bird or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then, by the end of that same match, there's chanting, this is awesome. So, I mean, I don't even necessarily have a problem with those who like the Thunderdome. That is what it is. It's wrestling. It's subjective. Maybe you like something that I don't. So be it. I'm just saying your opinion is wrong. I'll just go like this. When you have those natural, generic reactions, I was curious how fans were going to react to Roman Reigns. John Morrison was so fucking over in that match at one point. It could have been conceivable that he won. Ricochet has been the shitbird of the IWC for a hot minute. He was getting, so much love on shit that he does all the fucking time.
Let's stick on Edge and Roman Reigns, and we'll go to the men's Money in the Bank real fast. This was a legit, very good match, if not a great match.
One of the better ones of
because
the
of the story
Reigns.
they told, and because you knew Seth Rollins was going to get involved. Like, if you've been paying attention, they've been setting it up for Seth Rollins versus Edge at SummerSlam, which is a match.
They did it right before the match where he was getting ready to freak the fuck out.
Well, they also did it on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. But, again, I try to think of myself, and this is not me being a WWE apologist, but I try to think of myself like a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Like, wouldn't you like to see Seth Rollins versus Edge? Yes, of course I would. So now I'm psyched for it. I do want to see that match. I think that Seth Rollins is that great. I think that Edge is that great, and that's a match I want to see.
And they did the one thing that I asked them to do, is that you had to remind the WWE universe how the fact that Seth had Edge in a compromising spot. I could have stomped your ass out, and I didn't. So, you at least owe me this much, because I could have ended you 7 years ago.
Let me do my Jason Bell impression. Make it make sense. As long as it makes sense.
That's all I fucking ask, okay? And it made sense. It was connecting the dots, and I thought it was done really well.
Oh, for sure. It was done really well. And then we have, so let's talk about Big E winning the briefcase in a brutal match. A brutal match full of a lot of guys that are at the top of the card. My MVP for this match, as you might expect, was Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens took some crazy bumps in this shit.
The bump on the ladder.
The bump on the ladder outside was especially gnarly.
Yeah.
But he was taking bumps from point A to point B. I'm very happy with Big E winning.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the one, even though I picked Drew, and I picked Drew just because it was a safe bet, Big E is the one that makes the most sense moving forward. Orton hasn't come back on Raw.
We both had Big E at number 2.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Orton coming back on Raw, I think, has them being RK Bro tied to AJ and Almost. If they're going to really do, Big E can go after either champion. As champions stand right now, it's so fucking intriguing. Him versus Bobby Lashley, I mean, and we'll talk about Bobby Lashley and Kofi in a second. I think that would be a scenario where you would have two of the bigger guys in WWE going after the title now, whether Big E pulls the Nikki Ash route of going the surprise route or just calling his shot. That's another story for another time, but I think that match would be intriguing. The match I think everybody kind of wants to see is Big E versus Roman Reigns. And I don't disagree with that. I would love to see that. I just think right now, I think there's still more of Roman Reigns' story to tell. If they're going to break the record of Brock Lesnar of 500 whatever days as combined WWE champion, or go after CM Punk's 400 some odd days, that means that, Roman Reigns is going to have to win and continue to win. That's going through WrestleMania and then some. But then, with Survivor Series, you'll have whoever the WWE champion is. As it stands right now, that's Bobby Lashley. Like I said last week, him and Bobby Lashley, I think, would be a great match. That's where I think if Big E cashed it in on Bobby Lashley, that's where I think you can get Big E versus Roman Reigns, where you can have that match that everybody kind of wants. It's for not even for the title, but for bragging rights, brand supremacy, quote unquote. You can go that route and still get that match.
Well, there's a couple of different ways you can go with this. Did you mention that Big E and John Cena used to be weightlifting buddies?
I did not get to that.
Because apparently they were pals. Like, they used to hang out. They texted each other. They always used to work out together.
Big E has the John Cena seal of approval.
Yes, and also Big E's favorite wrestler when he was growing up, Goldberg. So, I could see him fighting any 4 of the current champions or their challengers at SummerSlam. What I hope happens, and this is my sincere hope, and I know he's a babyface, and babyfaces don't tend to, at least in the last few years, don't tend to keep the Money in the Bank briefcase for very long. I just want it to last a little while, man. Just draw some drama out of it. We already had Nikki Ash cash in Monday night on Charlotte. Now, listen, Charlotte can't be the 17-time women's champ unless she loses the championship 16 times. That being said, I don't want both Money in the Banks to be out of play within a month. I want the Money in the Bank to go till Christmas, man. That's where the Money in the Bank is fun, when they play with it a little bit, because it's such a great storytelling device, I should say. It's so cool. I'm very happy with Big E winning it, though.
Yeah, I think that was the right move. Nikki
Ash wins. Nikki Ash cashes in on Charlotte. We'll go into our Raw a little bit.
Okay. And it's not a knock against Nikki Ash. I don't like the way that the match finished, where you have these 6 women fighting amongst themselves, where Alexa Bliss is buried underneath ladders and Nikki Ash all of a sudden just kind of sneaks up and wins. I don't have a problem with who won it. I have a problem with how she won it.
She's going to make a lot more money now because her character is going to sell a lot of T-shirts and sell a lot of eye guard or whatever.
Capes or whatever the case may be. So then, ultimately that's going to be great on her. And like I was having this argument earlier, Charlotte helps that happen because Charlotte takes the pin. Whether you like Charlotte or not, that's elevating Nikki Ash. I don't care how you want to slice it or dice it.
We can do Money in the Bank and Raw here. Because
let's do it. They're all tied in.
Well, we can talk about it because Bobby Lashley beats Kofi Kingston.
Woof.
and what was basically a glorified squash.
Woof. This was what I would wanted to see if Lesnar and Kofi Kingston actually wasn't a straight up squash. Lesnar and Kofi was a straight up squash. This was a squash match, if that makes any bit of a difference. I mean, at least Kofi had a little offense. You know, the former match, you looked up and you blinked, that match was over. This match at least lasted a little bit to where the fans were really legitimately invested in Kofi. Maybe we're going to see Kofi Mania Part 2. You know, I felt a little goosebumps. You know, they're chanting Kofi, you know, New Day rocks, you know, I'm coming in. And Bobby Lashley's music came in, and that whole thing basically changed from that point on. Bobby Lashley whooped Kofi like he owed some money to his grandmama, and it was a straight-up beatdown. The best way that you could have finished that storyline from where Kofi was and Xavier was saying, Bobby Lashley soft? Nah, I ain't soft, dog. I just whooped your ass in like 8 minutes.
So we'll move into Raw real fast before we get into Raw, because there's no way to talk about Bobby Lashley winning this without finishing with Goldberg comes in.
Well, no, let's not bury the lead. Well, I guess that is the lead. Keith Lee was there. I guess we got to throw that out there, too.
Keith Lee comes out and suffers another extended squash. I don't care what you call it. I'm not a WWE hater. I watched a lot of wrestling Twitter this week, and people are going crazy in both directions. It's kind of indicative of our country. You know what I mean, Jason? It's like there's the red, there's the blue. Like the red being the people that are assholes and the blue being the people that are assholes. And it's me in the middle being like, oh, well, I'm lefter than all of you.
Why are you pulling me?
Gathering my thoughts. Goldberg should not be in this fucking match. This is frustrating to me. And I don't know why they keep bringing him back. I don't know if...
It's not that hard.
I don't try to get inside Vince's brain, which we'll get to later when we get to Karrion Kross. But I don't know what Vince versus Bobby or Vince. What I'd rather see Vince versus Bobby Lashley. I don't know what Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley is supposed to do for anybody.
For me, it's probably two things, and they probably said it first off on Raw Monday night in the Keith Lee match. They were, putting Bobby Lashley over, he's fought this guy, that guy, legends, blah, blah, blah. They said Goldberg's name. And then once they said Goldberg's name, I was like, okay, he's definitely coming out. So that all that meant to me was, number one, Keith Lee was going to lose, and number two, Goldberg's coming out. Why this is happening, because that to me with WWE, especially post Money in the Bank, is why? Why this? Why that? Why Goldberg? I'm sure he's still under contract, number one, so you're going to have to pay this motherfucker in some form or fashion. Okay? If this is a scenario where, fingers crossed, he, folds to Bobby Lashley within 5 minutes, I'm all for it. Cut this man his check and keep it moving.
5 minutes.
Look, and I'm being nice. Two, we're talking about selling out the Allegiant Stadium, okay? I'm not sure what the capacity of Allegiant Stadium is. I'm sure it's past 50,000. So you're going to have to get, even if it's matches that aren't great, but you're going to have to still have matches that make this card, in this case SummerSlam, feel like a loaded fucking card. If there was somebody else that I thought immediately that could take the place of Goldberg, I would say it. Right now, Bobby Lashley has started to kind of beat down that side of the heavyweight division. Orton, and this is guys that I'm just throwing shit out there because it's guys that I haven't seen him defend the title at. Randy Orton is obviously the first one that's coming off the top of my head. AJ is the first one coming off the top of my head. But these are heels. So you're running, I guess here's the bigger problem. You're running out of top name baby faces to put against Bobby Lashley. You can throw Goldberg in as long as you do it right and have Goldberg lose, you're fine. You can move on from there.
But you can sell a title match heel versus heel. You can't.
I'm not saying you couldn't. I'm just saying in this scenario, it's chess. It's not checkers. We're just trying to sell this motherfucker out. Goldberg, you saw how fucking stadium erupted when he came out. It was stupid. People
are just excited.
Okay.
They're excited to be back.
Okay, and they showed it for Goldberg. Goldberg's not going to be there week to week to week all the way up to SummerSlam. He'll be there maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
And then that'll be fine. That's all you need. Ultimately, as long as Goldberg puts Bobby Lashley over, this will not even be an issue when we talk about the beefers this time in January.
Okay, so let's stick with Raw then. We had Cena come out first. Cena clearly hasn't missed a beat. He's still Cena. He's still doing his black preacher thing, which no, that's what he does. He acts like he's a black preacher. He acts like he's fucking Jesse Jackson circa 1984 running for president.
I have never heard this take before. I swear to God, I've never heard you say this take before. This is absolutely
How many
amazing.
epissodes have we done together?
215.
And how many conversations did we have before the podcast?
Oh my God.
We're coming back to Monday Night Raw. Jesus will help us. Jesus will help us. Put your faith in Jesus.
You ain't shit, dog. Man,
What
I'm
he
about to
does,
die.
man. It's so stupid. I fucking it. Listen, I was watching Raw when they.
So you're not excited for John Cena to come back, I'm assuming?
No, I'm not. I got to be honest. Like, I'm not. Like, I am spoiled by much better wrestling and much better promos than John Cena has to offer. Like, I know that people are excited to see John Cena back. And listen, if I was at that show and John Cena's music played, I wouldn't have reacted, but I might have smiled.
Whatever, motherfucker. We'd have did with, the elbow bump because we'd have been standing next to each other. We'd have bumped each other like, shit.
Listen.
Don't lie. Don't lie. You know how this works.
Listen. Let me talk for 30 seconds.
You got 30 seconds. Go.
John Cena has never been my favorite. He, like, every time he does good work, like him versus AJ or him versus Punk, like when he does really good work, him versus Owens was really good, That is always an outlier to me because John Cena was so omnipresent when he was on the show that I just got so sick of him. And as long as he puts Roman over at SummerSlam, then I'm good with it. I don't need all the weeks in between now and SummerSlam to have John Cena come out and do his John Cena thing.
Okay, that part I totally get. But to me, that is...
I told you before, in this room, on this podcast, that he made me want to see F9 less.
I still haven't seen that shit. I get what you're saying, especially the part about the week to week that's where I think the John Cena.
He's just so dorky, man.
That's where I think the John Cena fatigue will set in, and I'll be the first to admit it. I didn't, get up and mark the fuck out when he came out on Sunday night, but I was like, okay,
I basically just raised my eyebrows. I was
like, okay, doing this. Okay, what's up, motherfucker?
Snyder's honey mustard and onion pretzels. I was like, oh, okay.
Right. Come on down here. What's happening? What you getting ready to do? And if there's a handful of negatives on Sunday night, that was one of the big ones.
I'm
saying for me, when you have Cena, one of the biggest stars post-Rock in Austin versus Roman Reigns, at least in that, little stare-off, man, you got to let that shit ride, man. I mean, I don't care if you got to see exactly how they closed that show was so anticlimactic. It was just like, ugh, it made my heart feel sick. So that's my own, one of my few negatives about that.
All that matters was the pop. No, and then Monday night, I know that you're not arguing with that, but that's all that mattered.
No, I agree.
And then when he came out Monday night,
once again,
it was fine.
No,
Riddle came down. He gave a little bit of rub to Riddle. At least he didn't fucking bury Riddle like he usually likes to bury guys as soon as he comes back. He likes to bury guys. We're gonna skip a bunch of shit. We're not gonna talk about Riddle. Here is our segment of the night. Shit we're not going to talk about. We're not going to talk about Riddle and Viking Raiders versus AJ Omos and Morrison. We're not going to talk about Riker and Elias in the Symphony of Destruction match, which the crowd seemed to eat up, but the crowd gets hyped. You've been there. They hype them up. We're not going to talk about Mansoor and Ali tagging together next week because obviously that's Vince just saying, oh, here's two brown guys. Let's put them together.
You ain't shit.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
You ain't shit.
We're not going to talk about Nia Jax and Reginald, or Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, and Reginald being broke up.
No, Reggie got the 24/7 title. Go ahead, Reggie. I see you, dog. STL in the house.
We're not going to talk about the 24/7 title.
No, STL's in the house. As long as Reggie's got 24/7 title.
Yeah,
STL's in the house. There you go.
Sheamus versus Humberto Carrillo in what they are now calling a championship contenders match, which is just WWE's way of saying this is a non-title match.
Right.
That's all it is.
I say, hey, guess what? Rocky won this one too.
Lashley versus Keith Lee. I kind of didn't like how they did Keith Lee, but Keith Lee also seemed kind of blown up after about 4 minutes. Like he might not be in that good a shape, which might go back to what I said a long time ago about Keith Lee. He might be a little too big.
Okay.
And Murray yelled at me, and well, Zach didn't yell at me. And you kind of yelled at me because I said that Keith Lee was not that I'm keeping receipts or anything, but
I was about to say, the only thing we missing is the date on this motherfucker.
Keith Lee might be a little too big to wrestle sometimes. He is a big dude, and I'm not trying to body shame anybody, but the dude is fat.
Okay. Let me be the voice of reason for 30
can
seconds.
move.
Number one, if the COVID, I guess, accusations, for lack of a better term, if he had COVID, then I'm going to give him a pass on that. If he didn't have COVID and they sat him down on the bench since January, he wasn't at the Royal Rumble, and that was one of our biggest takeaways from the Royal Rumble. That was
one of our big predictions.
Keith Lee was not there, so he hasn't wrestled in damn near 6 months, and you expect him to come out and have a 5-star, a 4-star, 3.5? I mean, yeah,
just a 2-star.
He is going to get blown up. That's just what it is. You cannot ask somebody that okay.
Well, then don't bring him back out.
There you go. That's going to be, if you bring him out, don't bring him out in that spot. You can just bring out, like I've always said before, one of these jabronis that you always bring out, have Keith Lee roll him over in his home state and just say, hey, Keith Lee is back.
Or have Lashley just come roll some dude over.
I don't care which way. Ultimately, it got the match that they wanted us to see, but it hurt Keith Lee in the return, which made no sense. Like I said, it's not who, what, where, when, but why. Why did you do Keith Lee like that after keeping him on the bench for 6 months with no real explanation?
Okay, we're not going to talk about Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre. It looks like we're heading towards a SummerSlam match.
Whatever.
I hope they bring Heath Slater back into it.
No.
So we can have a
3MB. No, he signed with Impact, dog. He can't come over.
Then they do a Karrion Kross vignette. So this, you know what? Let's skip past this and come back to it. So they have Alexa Bliss, Doudrop, Eva Marie, whatever. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. That's when Nikki Ash cashes in. The crowd pops. Crowd obviously loves it, but crowds like cash-ins.
Crowds like cash-ins. Crowds hate Charlotte. It was like a perfect storm. I just wish they would have kind of just let this. You knew one or two things were going to happen. Either Becky Lynch was coming back, which was the one big rumor, but I just felt
would explain the lukewarm reception to Rhea Ripley when Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville came out, and everybody was saying we want Becky, and then Rhea Ripley comes out, and obviously they're disappointed. People want to see Becky Lynch.
You know, it's just Rhea Ripley's just in the wrong place.
I'd like
wrong
to
time.
see Becky Lynch.
No, I get it, but I think Becky's in the on deck circle. I just think this is just, we just got to wait a couple weeks. I don't have a problem with this. I just, like I said, for me, I just would have wished they had just marinated. It was kind of like it was going to be one or two things, cash in or Becky Lynch. And when Becky Lynch didn't come out, you knew the cash in was in play.
Okay, so this is the
the big one.
To me, this is the big moment from Raw. This is the most controversial thing from Raw, is that Karrion Kross, who is the NXT champion, who they have booked they booked him in a 5-way against 4 of the best NXT talents, and Karrion Kross went over. And then last week, he went over Johnny Gargano. He gets into it with the special enforcer / referee, Samoa Joe. He chokes him out till Joe's almost dead. Passes out.
Nighty-night, Joe.
Karrion Kross comes out, sans Scarlett. He does not have his valet with him.
Strike one.
And he is in a match with Jeff Hardy, who hasn't won, who lost to Cedric Alexander in main event last week.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is post the I'll put my career on the line on Raw. Okay.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
He loses to Cedric Alexander. Then he comes out to fight the NXT champion, and Karrion Kross loses in 1 minute and 50 seconds with...
I didn't think it was... Wow.
Less than 2 minutes. 1 minute, 50 seconds is what it was officially on WWE's website.
Jesus Christ.
And Karrion Kross... and Jeff Hardy uses the ropes as leverage, which is a big-time heel move.
Yeah, that's fuckery for your ass.
So, I'm going to ask you something as a white man to a black man, okay?
This should be good.
Over the weekend, somebody on Twitter said something about how black people love Jeff Hardy. And Jeff Hardy...
Saying the same thing.
And Jeff Hardy was trending... on wrestling Twitter.
Yeah, like that Monday night or something.
For a full 24 hours.
It was ridiculous.
So, what do you think happened? Do you think that Vince saw that Jeff Hardy was trending and Vince had Jeff Hardy go over? Do you think that Vince just sees NXT as nothing? Do you think they're setting up to a Karrion Kross versus Jeff Hardy SummerSlam match? Because Karrion Kross got interviewed after the match and cut a promo like he won, but said that Jeff Hardy
I didn't see that shit.
You didn't see the promo?
Not at in the ring.
In the ring.
Okay, yeah, I thought you meant like backstage or whatever.
He goes, Jeff Hardy just made
the worst mistake. It was blah blah blah. Okay, I guess that kind of.
What do you think happened with Karrion Kross? And I have seen so
much.
The
conspiracy theories.
I've seen so many people try to defend this from WWE's angle because they're like, oh well, look at all these fucking marks out here. They're just saying that Karrion Kross got buried and NXT got buried, and really this is really smart because if he comes back and if Karrion Kross beats Jeff Hardy at SummerSlam, that means that this was like the most brilliant move of all time. And like,
no.
What do you think?
Okay, a lot to unpack. Number one, you can't. If you're going to do Karrion Kross like this, he can't be wearing the NXT championship. I guess once again, it's not
Bingo.
who, what, where, when, and why. It's the why. Why you do Karrion Kross like that. The biggest rumor that I see is the fact that Vince is upset that NXT lost to AEW in the ratings war, and this is how he's punishing NXT talent. This is Keith Lee aside. This is just basically Karrion Kross. Okay, so this is why he loses in this fashion. Now, the ramifications thereof. For me, I got a problem with this. You don't do this shit. It would be like when Kevin Owens came out and faced John Cena, and John Cena was the U.S. champion. Kevin Owens came out and just mauled fucking John Cena like it was his fucking job.
And
you presented
won
him
the first match of the pay-per-view.
Right. You presented him as a champion, okay? I don't care about fucking ratings or any of this other bullshit. If you're going to have Karrion Kross or Johnny Gargano or Adam Cole, baby, or whoever it is come up to the main fucking roster, when Adam Cole, baby, came up what was it, a year and a half ago, they didn't have him fucking jobbing out to fucking Daniel Bryan. They put him the fuck over. And that's what the biggest problem is that you had a champion in your fucking umbrella, whether you think it's the developmental brand or it's a third brand that is equal to NXT or equal to fucking Raw and SmackDown. You let your champion come out and lose. I don't give a rat's ass if Jeff Hardy putting legs on the ropes or not, fuckery or not. The champion should not fucking lose. He should have came in, wiped the floor with Jeff Hardy and kept that shit moving. Where's my bitch at? Now, the fact that you're going to try to come back and be like, oh, let's make this. No, you've already fucked it up. Because now you got guys like Marvin Thomas on Twitter. Shout out to Marvin Thomas 11 on Twitter. Check him out. That's my man. Give him a follow. He's already just like, dude, I don't care what happens with Joe and Cross anymore because now you fucked this up. It was real fucking simple. How you did so well 24 hours ago, you came back. And you were, if this is the truth, and the rumor is true, you were being so goddamn petty that you had to fucking job out Cross so Jeff Hardy can do what? Have his fucking old song come out and play, and you can make him look bad on national TV. Get the fuck out of here.
I can't stress this enough, that when people like us who are old and we've been watching shit forever, like, I've been watching WWE for plus 20 years, right? Maybe more.
Maybe more.
And when people have certainly been watching it for the last 10 or 15 years, and they try to look at me like I'm some fucking idiot. Like,
how can you defend this?
Like I've been I'm just new to WWE, and they try to look at me and they say, "Hey, Bill." They might not say, "Hey, Bill," personally,
right?
But they're saying, "Hey, Bill."
Hey, bro. I hate that shit. That's one of my pet peeves about wrestling Twitter. Hey, bro. Motherfucker, you don't know me.
Yeah, but
we ain't bros.
Like, even when I listen to other podcasts, and they're like, "Hey, Vince is playing chess. He ain't playing checkers." It's like, no, he's not. He's
straight up playing checkers.
He's playing Chinese checkers, and he don't know the rules.
And he just moves pieces around. And then that's when you come back and you look at NXT on Tuesday, it's just kind of like, okay, so what the fuck? We just had your champion lose to Jeff Hardy.
Well, they had Joe bring it up. He goes, "Did you see him playing hooky on Raw?" But that's all they brought up.
Yeah, that's look, I wouldn't have been mad if you didn't bring it up.
Everybody who watches NXT watches Raw.
Or
knows what happened on Raw.
And now you damn right you keep him to the end. You can't bring him out.
What the fuck are they doing?
Vince doesn't care what happens on Tuesday nights, and this was no more apparent than on Monday. If you don't want to believe the conspiracy theory that this was a punishment, then you can flip to the other side.
It had to be a punishment.
It's one or the other. It's one or the other. I don't care which one it is, but Cross looks bad coming out of it. That's the deal.
I'm not gonna say the guy's name, but there used to be a gentleman, I probably brought him up on here before. He used to come to Jack Patrick's every time WWE came in, and he would give me tickets.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah.
You met him.
Yeah, I got the Extreme Rules shirt.
Yeah, he was a cool dude.
Very.
And he came into Jack Patrick's one night, not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Patrick's not a
Nope,
sponsor.
nope,
Give me some money, Kevin Lacey. He would come in every time WWE was in town, and he was sitting there at a four-top, and we don't do table service, but they were all sitting around drinking, and I was busting tables, and I just stopped by and said hello, and I think the next night was Royal Rumble. Would have been that Royal Rumble, like 2013, the moment Sheamus beat Jericho.
Oh, yeah. When the kid was taking all of our money.
The kid took our money, yeah. And they were telling me a story. There was this little guy there. I mean, he was probably 5'6".
7, yeah.
No. I'm talking about an adult drinking at the bar.
Okay.
And he was a little brown guy. He was like Indian, or he was Persian or something like that. No offense to anybody out there. I just don't know what he was. He wasn't white.
There you go. Wasn't black.
He wasn't white. He wasn't black. And there was a great Khali angle where they had to humiliate this guy in the middle of a SmackDown ring, and Vince just sent him out there because he fucked up Vince's coffee order or something. And he was like,
"This is in kayfabe."
kayfabe. No. He actually, he fucked up something with Vince.
Oh.
And Vince was like, hey, you're going to be on TV tonight. And he was like, what? And they put him out there, and Great Khali had a manager at the time. I don't really remember what happened. But I remember asking him, I was like, why do you think Vince did that to you? And he goes, man, and all of them agreed. They were like, man, when you're a billionaire and you really have no stakes that could cost or lose you your livelihood, like your livelihood's not going to change at all. You find different ways to entertain yourself. And so you might get pissed off at this dude and send him out there and have Great Khali
choke slam him.
Yeah, he didn't take a bump. I looked it up online, and I found it that night when I got home. I was like, oh, fuck, that is the guy that I just saw. I forget what the fuck they did. But ever since then, I've thought about whenever there's these mind-boggling fucking decisions by Vince, it's like Vince might have been like, right before he went out, he's like, let's teach Karrion Kross a lesson. Hey, man, you're going down.
What's the lesson to be taught?
I don't know, man, because I'm not a billionaire. I only have $4 million in the bank account, so I'm obviously
so you're
not a billionaire.
So, we can't
I'm only
ask you
a
this
millionaire.
question.
I can't answer for billionaires.
Right.
You know, why does Jeff Bezos fly a fucking dick up to fucking space this week?
Because
he's an asshole.
No, I get it. It's just, like I said.
They were like, all the money will trickle down. All the money will trickle down. It's like, no, they're going to buy spaceships, you motherfucker.
No shit.
Now me and Jace are sitting in the fucking heat.
I'll say, we going to Mars, motherfucker. I guess that's just where my problem is that ultimately, if you're going to make Karrion Kross come up to the main roster at some point, this is not a good way to start this.
Well, plus, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
If you're trying to sell NXT to the greater people, then all of a sudden you've buried all of NXT. And when people are like, well, that's not a burial because they don't really, because the people that watch Raw don't really watch NXT. It's like, don't you want them to?
Right. There you go. That's where the problem is. So you're asking. So because
wouldn't it make more sense
because
to put this guy over?
Because now you will have people that would want to watch NXT. Because if he goes over, which he should just mop the floor with Matt Hardy, and then be like, oh, who is this guy? Karrion Kross. He's the NXT champion. Maybe I should watch NXT to see more of him. So that you watch on Tuesdays.
Goddamn, he just killed. Whoever, some other jobber back there, like he just killed Mojo Rawley.
Fine, whatever.
Something like that.
Who's one of the guys that are chasing after 24/7 title?
Exactly.
Drag them jokers out.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I love Cedric Alexander, but at this point, Cedric Alexander would have been a much better aspect to have him go down versus Jeff Hardy go over. What does this do for Jeff Hardy? Jeff Hardy has done every fucking thing that you could do in WWE. So now that he has his old music back and he's down with black people, now this is the reason to put him over of somebody that's could potentially be on the way to be the WWE champion and main event of WrestleMania.
Jason,
get the fuck out of here!
Don't you know they could shine him up for 3 or 4 weeks and he could be fighting for the belt.
No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't.
Every single excuse.
Elias, okay? The last time I checked, Jeff Hardy was
not even Elias. How about Jackson Riker?
Okay.
Because he's a fucking trumper.
Okay. Big time trumper. My life is way better than 12 days in a slave, you motherfucker.
So I'm saying everybody that tries to defend this,
I don't get it.
You're a fucking mark, man.
I just don't get it. Look, mark. There you go. I'm a mark, but this is
I'm
just
a mark, but you're a WWE mark, and that's pathetic.
Elitist.
Listen, can we find something that we're going to disagree about here? Because people don't tune in for us to agree about this shit.
I'm sure he's getting ready to come up here in a little bit.
Jason, I've been betting on the NBA for a couple months now.
Whoa. I thought you said you stopped betting.
Well, I bet the other night when I was drunk.
God damn, dude.
But I've also been looking forward to NBA games, and there's no NBA game tonight.
Yeah. Kudos first and first and foremost, kudos to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Sure.
All kinds of credit. I really thought they were getting ready to get walked off the floor.
They covered and went under.
No.
Giannis's knees got a roofer, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought this was a scenario where I really thought that Milwaukee did the things that they should have done kind of going into this series. But, kudos to the Milwaukee Bucks. I'll just say this. I'm a little disappointed that you lied to me because the last time we had talked about this, you said you had stopped betting on the NBA. I mean, you can do what you want. It's your life. I'm just saying you ain't got to lie to your boy.
Join us for our NBA show, Bam for Courtside. Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Jason, you're up. Let's do a shot first.
Let's do a shot first, and then we're going to talk about...
I should say, this is Mike Dolan. It's his birthday today.
Shut the fuck up. Are you for real?
Yep. Good friend of ours who passed away...
Yeah.
long time ago.
In dubious circumstances. Love you, Mike
12
Dolan.
years ago, he would have been 45.
God damn. I wish he was still here. Kudos to Mike Dolan. R.I.P. I love you, brother. Let's talk AEW. I think that was the better show between Tuesday and Wednesday night. We're going to start off opening with the first trial, I guess, lack of a better word, for Chris Jericho going against
Labors of Jericho
going against Shawn Spears. Now, Shawn Spears is known as the AEW chairman, so this labor, first and foremost, was Shawn Spears could use a chair at any point. Chris Jericho could not. Decent match, nothing crazy. I had a little problem with how Shawn Spears was not using the chair in certain spots. Obviously, Chris Jericho wins. But then MJF immediately jumps out after the match, and then this says that there is going to be a no DQ match next week against one Nick Gage. Now, for those who don't know Nick Gage is, I'm not sure if he is the current champion of game-changing wrestling, GCW, but he is a hardcore legend where Mick Foley stops, Nick Gage probably starts and continues to move forward. I haven't watched a lot of his matches, but I've seen enough where I know this is going to be a nice little hoop jump for one Chris Jericho. What'd you think about the opening segment?
I liked the match between Jericho and Shawn Spears. I particularly liked MJF on commentary. Of course, this is what I was thinking, because MJF is putting Jericho through the labors of Jericho, which is he's got to fight 4 matches or 5 matches before he gets to MJF. This is one of those things where I think to myself, this is predictable. Jericho's going to go through, and then he's going to fight.
It's like
MJF.
Roman Reigns. I just need you to tell me a good story from point A to point B.
I'm completely fine with that. I've said on this podcast several times that predictable is not always bad, and this is something that, I'm looking for. I was looking forward to him fighting Wardlow or somebody else. Nick Gage, as somebody who's seen the dark side of the ring with Nick Gage, he's not a very likable guy. And he's not necessarily somebody that I root for. I know that wrestlers always had New Jack's back,
right,
in the same way that they have Nick Gage's back. He's not. I mean, I'm looking forward to this match.
No, keep it real. Keep it real.
I mean, I'm looking forward to this match. Of course, I want to see it. Of course, I want to see it.
Because I think this could be something that could
During
be
the
really...
Shawn Spears match, though, I couldn't help but thinking, man, Jericho is just getting slower and slower. And if you saw him on Austin's podcast, it doesn't look like he's one of these guys that gets older and just slows down drinking a little bit. It seems like he's actually accelerating his drinking, which I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's probably not best for somebody.
I'm not doing moonsaults.
Exactly. It's not something best. And I'm not saying he's drinking before he wrestles.
No.
I'm just saying he's not getting quicker. And he's not maintaining anything.
I guess there was as a Steelers fan.
He looks like an old man.
As a Steelers fan, that's the knock on Ben Roethlisberger. He just, he's letting himself, go away while Tom Brady has, gone eating
while everybody else around him keeps getting quicker and better. He just stays at the same pace.
And there's no it's not a knock against that. Chris Jericho, as far as I'm concerned, has done what he was supposed to do coming to AEW. He gave them name recognition.
No
he was
doubt.
their first champion, and he still can bring eyes to the product.
I'll
the
admit,
end of the day,
I'm a little surprised how front and center he is still.
I think this is all about getting MJF over. And I think that's more so now his next, AEW chapter is getting the next guy over.
And he still gets pops, and when he comes out, everybody still sings.
Come on. I mean, it's way too easy at this point.
But if you've ever watched The Dark Side of the Ring with Nick Gage,
I mean,
maybe I'm just a pussy. I don't know. I don't like Nick Gage or New Jack. I just watched that shit, and I'm like, man, that is really irresponsible, and fuck you guys.
New Jack is easy to hate and easy to root against. R.I.P. Sorry, not sorry, but when I watched it, I was just, a lot of cringe-worthy moments. Nick Gage, not as bad, at least for me, but once again, still where I want to root for him, but a part of me just can't. I'm sorry, a part of me just can't. And that's just me. I want to see a great match next week. Do I want to see Nick Gage be AEW champion? Probably not. Call me what you want to.
All right.
Moving on. Yeah.
Miro cuts a promo. All good.
The Redeemer. I love the Redeemer gimmick. Go ahead.
Doc Gallows versus Frank Kazarian, who was called the Elite Hunter.
He's been called the Elite Hunter. It's not the first time. It's not the first week this happened.
No, it's not the first. No, they've said it for a few weeks. Kenny Omega and Don Callis comes out. Don Callis is just
money.
I mean, I don't know if he's
money.
I don't know if he's making the company money, but to me, he makes
when
me
he
laugh.
comes out, it's now all of a sudden it's like Paul Heyman when he gets the mic, and it's very rare.
I love how he whispers something in Kenny Omega's ear, and Kenny Omega always manages to fuck it up just a little bit. Adam Page, Dark Order come out. That's fine. We're moving towards Adam Page versus Kenny Omega
next week.
Normal pace, which is Fight for the Fallen, which I guess if they're going to have every single Dynamite show called something, then everything might seem like a big deal.
No, I mean, ultimately this is a big deal for this particular angle. It's a huge deal because ultimately if Dark Order and Adam Page win this, elimination match, Page gets his, title match against the Omega or Dark Order. Hopefully it would be Uno and Stu Grayson goes against the Bucks. If you're going to do all out, it would be the same. It's to be the same thing like WWE is doing for SummerSlam. You're going to put all the chips in the middle for the biggest matches, sell that shit out, get the most pay-per-view buys, and move it on.
Brian Cage is official babyface now. Cool.
I'll probably say so.
Cool with that. Darby Allin fights Wheeler Utah.
No, I'm not going to say anything. Go ahead and finish, and then if you say something ignorant, I'm going to have to defend Wheeler Utah.
I think Wheeler Utah is fine. I think Wheeler Utah, I can't even say it. Wheeler Utah, it's Y-U-T-A. It's not Utah like the state.
It's not like Johnny Utah.
It's just one of the dumbest names I've ever heard. I mean, Wheeler is a good name. Just call him fucking Wheeler or just Wheeler Collins or fucking Wheeler Anderson. Who the fuck cares? Wheeler Utah? That's a fucking bad name. Anyway, the best part of this segment, and I wish Zach was here for it.
You ain't shit.
Was Sting and Orange Cassidy outside the ring. And Sting completely put over Orange Cassidy by doing Orange Cassidy shtick with him. And I gotta admit, I rewound that shit 3 times. I thought it was so funny. I thought that Sting no selling how funny it was made it even funnier. With the beats on the chest. I thought it was
very well done.
That's what I want Sting here to do, though. Like, Sting is so fucking serious because Darby Allin's so fucking serious, and Sting can be there to put guys over. And obviously he's putting Darby Allin over, but
right.
Man, that was a really funny part.
First and foremost.
Did you love it?
No. You did the one thing that you were required to do. That was the bet that if you lost last week, that every time that Sting's name was brought up, you had to compliment Sting in some form or fashion.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, so you did it without me, prompting you to do it, which is great.
Maybe Sting was listening.
Maybe he was. No, I totally agree. I didn't necessarily, and this is part of the reason, I guess, couldn't invest in this match coming in, because this is a lot of, AEW dark and dark elevation angles coming into Dynamite, which is fine. Neither here nor there. It's just up to me to watch or not, and I just don't watch. That said, that particular segment was the whole fucking match. When they came outside, I was like, okay, what's getting ready to happen? And then when Sting kicked it off, I was like, oh, you got to be bullshitting. Oh, you got to be bullshit. And then it just came, it just organically just built and built and built. Sting, beating on his chest, I thought was the moment where it was just like, okay, this is where it's absolutely amazing to me, where I know I would thought that this shit was funny. If you think it was funny, then that to me makes it even better. Just for the simple fact that
I thought it was really funny.
Just because I know how much you hate Darby Allin, I know how much you hate Sting, so having them in that same match might not necessarily be something that is kudos for Bill, but it was really well done.
Now, what? Like, I hate them. I don't want them to die or anything.
No, but I get it.
They're not my cup. They're not my cup of tea.
And that's cool. I totally get
Except for Darby Allin. I hope he dies.
See, you ain't shit.
Next up, we had Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose. It was a fine match. Nyla Rose still seems to me like she's pretty green.
I wouldn't lie and say that there weren't, I'll call them bumpy spots where it didn't look smooth. The finish where I kind of look at it to where that to me was the best part of the match, where you had Britt and Nyla kind of, trading off counters, and then it came up to the lockjaw. Lockjaw taps out Nyla. Fantastic. The way you should have done it. Now you kind of get the receipt for Britt Baker losing the tournament match a few months ago. I saw this on Twitter today, and it was kind of interesting to me.
Tell me.
Deonna Purrazzo, it was on Deonna Purrazzo's Twitter page. Kind of, I'm sure it was Photoshopped because it's an all-out, I guess, background or whatever. But you have Deonna Purrazzo on the right and Britt Baker on the left, and then the caption is, "I beat your guy that's on deck." So basically, like, Britt Baker's next opponent is probably going to be this person. And I won't say it just yet because we haven't talked about it. I already beat this person on Saturday. And just the fact that they're both champions is, and for me, selfishly, it's a match that I would like to see. It's a part of this Forbidden Door gimmick. I won't even say gimmick, but angle that I think I'm totally in for. If you're going to do something that is on the women's side, Purrazzo versus Britt Baker is something I would like to see all out, super card a year from now. We were talking about that off the year, something along those lines. But Britt Baker retaining is what you're supposed to do, but I guess better choice of words. Like Conte, Shida, we need to make her as more of a heel. She was kind of a baby face in this feud, which is fine. Nobody likes Nyla Rose. It's kind of like Charlotte. I don't have a problem with that. But now, moving forward, we have to have her going with baby faces as her opponents.
I like Charlotte a lot. I just don't think Nyla Rose is. I mean, she's
not. It's not the same Charlotte heat, but she gets that.
She's fine.
She's probably not. She did what she was supposed to do. She got eyes on the product. Now at this point, we're starting to bring in this talent.
Next segment, Andrade El Idolo comes out and announces his new manager, Chavo Guerrero. Now, did you pop?
I didn't pop it. I didn't even know he was coming out. I tried to
I watched
make sure
it.
that
I had no idea. I had no spoilers.
I
popped when I saw it.
When I watched coming
I was
here,
like, fuck yeah, he's cool.
I watch on my phone because it's the easiest way for me not to see any spoilers. He came out. I was like, okay, that's what's up. Because if Vicky was supposed to be Andrade's manager, Chavo is just as good, same name, but I think more so.
I think they understood that Vicky probably wasn't the best manager for.
Okay, and let me piggyback on that. I was looking at it from a different angle, but if there was a bump to take, if Matt Sydal had to attack Andrade and you had to put somebody in front of Andrade to actually physically take that attack, Chavo is probably the better person.
Well, he's the pro's pro. He's
right.
He's the guy that I didn't really like the show Glow, but I know that Chavo was the guy
behind it.
He was on Glow every day, like making sure that nobody got hurt and everything like that. I know he's a pro's pro. He's Eddie's nephew. I think there's only 3 years difference in them. I think he was born in 70 and Eddie was born in 67. I haven't looked that up.
I'll say you the birthday boy.
I could be completely wrong about that. I want to say that he was born in 70 and Eddie was born in 67, although Chavo could be Eddie's uncle. No,
Jesus
that's not
Christ.
right.
No, that's not right. Chavo is younger now. How you want to make
well,
it?
Well, he's 70 and Eddie's 67 if I'm correct. Anyway, Chavo being on television
is a good way to.
Well, Chavo being on television is a cool thing, and
it's once again eyes on the product, like we've been talking about all the podcast long.
Fucking AEW, they just keep fucking piling guys up.
I mean, and this is before the one count being Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. This is really before that rumor started to really heat up. That's how fast that rumor was. I watched AEW last night, and there was sprinkling of fill in the blank. Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, yeah, they're coming over. And then today, when I woke up, it really started to pick up. By the time we were recording, it is like Daniel Bryan is already in, and they're trying to get CM Punk on top of it.
So you think that Andrade is going to pull Penta and Phoenix into his orbit eventually?
I kind of want all four to be a nice little faction. I think that would be the shit.
That would be
the faction that I would want to see go up against Bullet Club, the Elite, whatever you want to call them.
So Pac, Penta,
Phoenix, and Andrade would be one faction.
Be unstoppable.
It would be a second heel faction underneath, or equal to the Elite. If you would do Penta and Phoenix as the tag team.
Tell me a better work rate foursome that you can imagine, or that's ever existed.
Oof.
There's not a better foursome work rate that's ever existed.
I'm going to just try to keep it within AEW. You have...
No, I'm telling you, go all the time.
No. We tried to... Well, we said we don't want to keep this under 2 hours, so I want to try to keep this as minimal as possible. In AEW right now, with the Elite, you would have Omega as the lead dog, the Bucks as the tag team. Then the mid-card guy is the Question. Okay?
I don't know him.
That's what I'm saying. Who would be...
I thought you were saying the Question was a wrestler.
Yeah. Who would be the fourth...
No, it's a guy named the Question.
Fuck you. The question mark, RIP.
Stoner.
Yeah, right.
You're stoned as fuck.
No, I'm not stoned as fuck. I'm pretty stoned. The Pinnacle would be like MJF.
No, it's not even close. It's not even close. Penta and Phoenix and Pac put them over... already, and then you have Andrade. All right, let's move.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just saying.
What you
to
think
answer
about
your question? I think Pac is going to eventually move alone, and that's where you get Pac versus Kenny Omega Part 3. Pac as the babyface.
But you put a little bug in my ear, having them four be together. When it
first came out, I was like, why can't we just get along, fellas?
Now, that's a Survivor Series match I want to see.
I'm like, just get along.
Orange Cassidy versus The Blade. Better than I thought it would be. I liked it a whole lot. I'm starting to really like The Blade, actually.
Blade can wrestle. He just,
And he's got a great character, and I love that he wears that meat apron out. Like, it looks so cool.
I like Bunny and Blade together. Obviously, they're together outside the ring. But, no, outside, I thought this was a good match because they set it up beforehand with the brass knucks on Orange Cassidy in the Will Unit match. And then you have this match to where now can Orange Cassidy comes out. You have that little angle coming in, the right guy goes over, everything works out. And
then Jericho cuts a promo backstage.
Dude
says that if I'm going to fight Nick Gage, it can't be Jericho. It's got to be the Painmaker. And he turns around as the Painmaker, which was his character in NJPW. And it looks like Jericho is going to fight Nick Gage as the Painmaker.
The jacket with the spikes, I'm seeing this promo and I'm like, is this the Painmaker? No. Which is fine. I mean, if this is what you're going to do, this is why people like AEW, because the wrestlers have some sort of creative control. Maybe Tony Khan did it. Maybe he didn't. Maybe Jericho didn't. Maybe he didn't.
It was Jericho's.
I'm pretty sure this is Jericho, but more so moving forward, if you have that, rumor that management will work with you, if you're a wrestler, then you want to gravitate towards AEW.
Let me ask you this. So, Tony Khan is what, 38, something like that?
He's younger than me.
Oh, yeah, way younger. He's younger than me. I know. It's unbelievable. And Jericho is what, 51? 52? Something like that?
I think he's about my age, maybe a little older.
So do you think Tony Khan ever says no to Chris Jericho, considering how much money Chris Jericho has made Tony Khan, or how on the map Chris Jericho has made him? If Chris Jericho says, I want to be the Painmaker, which is basically just Jericho with stupid makeup. I mean, let's admit it
no, I'm not a fan of it. Clockwork Orange makeup.
Yeah, it's Clockwork Orange style makeup. But if he says to him, I'm going to do this, you think Tony Khan says no?
It would have to be really bad.
How many times do you think Tony Khan has said no to Jericho?
Out of 10, maybe 2. Maybe.
I bet less.
No, but I think that's part of the... that's part of the reason why AEW is AEW, and guys want to go over there.
It's because they let guys do their thing.
Okay, and
I'm not even
there's
saying
something to be said. No, but I think there's something to be said about that.
Tony Khan wants to be Vince McMahon, though,
in his own way.
Right. Plugged in. I just want to be Jason Bell.
Why? You don't want anything like that in your life. You got good shit going on. Go ahead.
And so, last but not least, we have Moxley versus Archer for the IWGP U.S. title.
Texas Death Match, part 2.
Texas Death Match. Moxley loses. Archer goes over.
As well he should. No, and as much as, we argued about this last week, and I'll just piggyback on this more.
I didn't argue with anybody.
Debate it, if you will. I'll say this. Moxley doesn't need this title. Moxley is so over, and I get what you were saying last week that New Japan wants somebody that is a recognizable name. I get that. But this is a chance to make Lance Archer that same recognizable name. How many times have we argued, or not even argued, but got mad about WWE not making fill in the blank that next guy?
What do you think about the match?
Not as good as the original, but still good. The right guy went over. To me, that was the ultimate thing. I like the match. I wish it would have been a little more physical. The end spot where you had the wood table. No,
that's a pay-per-view match on live TV. That wasn't a pay-per-view match.
Put it against the original, and then let's talk. That to me was where I'm comparing the two. Okay,
right.
I'm not saying it wasn't. Like I said, it was a good match, but compared against the original, not as good.
Then
Neither here nor there. They got the right result. Go ahead.
I love the match. Then we get a Bullet Club member. Please tell me his name. I can't remember it.
You're mixing it up. You're mixing it up.
Huh?
You're mixing it up. That's Slammiversary.
No, there's a Bullet Club member that came out at the end of Moxley and...
Oh, Hikuleo. I'm sorry. He's the...
There's a Bullet Club invasion happening on the U.S. soil right now because
I won't say it's the invasion, but Hikuleo was highlighted a couple of times where he was going to get the winner of this match. Hikuleo is highlighted on NJPW Strong. Before that, he was kind of like the third member of GOD.
How dare you tell me that I got it wrong?
I'm sorry.
It was a Bullet Club member.
I'm sorry. I apologize. No, that's just on me.
Finally. I know more about wrestling than Jason.
No, in this scenario, I'm a little surprised, I guess, ultimately, where we go with this. I'm a little surprised that this happened, but once again, I think this is a scenario where we want people to watch New Japan Strong. Rising tides, floats all boats, all good shit. The scenario versus WWE, where it's just WWE versus New Japan, ROH, blah blah blah, where you can have the territorial way of things, where you can have guys going from here, there, everywhere.
I thought the match ruled. I was a big fan of it. I thought Moxley put Archer over huge.
Yeah. And that's why, and that's
about time.
Yeah.
By the way, for
Archer to be
He's
that
taking a bunch
guy.
of losses.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying last week. At a certain point, if you're going to start bringing these guys over, then you got to make it to where you're getting something out of this. You know, the money is a good thing, but if you want to be that guy, a champion in some form or fashion, Lance Archer is a good start to where now hopefully he holds the title for like 3 or 4 months, maybe longer, and then you can kind of go from there.
All right. That's going to do it for our 3 count.
You're a nerd.
Nope, wrong one. Let me try it again.
You're a nerd.
Oh, that's all about Jason. No.
I can't reach over there.
Here, let me talk to Zach for a second.
You're a nerd.
Okay, there you go.
My bad.
There you go.
So that's going to do it for our 3 count.
There it is. He's got the shit label, for Christ's sake.
Well, once I fucked it up one time, I just kept it going.
Lean into it. Go ahead. I ain't mad at you. Odds and ends?
Odds and ends. What do you want to go with first? You want to go with Slammiversary or do you want to go with NXT?
Slammiversary to me is the bigger story just because of what happened at Slammiversary.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Please do.
Slammiversary obviously is probably the second biggest pay-per-view. That or Bound for Glory. I don't care which one you want to go with. One of the others, the two big pay-per-views for Impact. For me, it's tied for 2 stories coming out of Impact being the biggest stories. Obviously, the first being Kenny Omega versus Samuel Callahan in the no DQ match. I'll say this. I know people hate Kenny Omega, and I get that. But this is a scenario to me where Kenny Omega kind of goes outside of his comfort zone and brings in all kinds of props into the mix.
People saw Kenny Omega versus Sami Callihan, and they hated Kenny Omega?
People hated Reigns versus Edge, okay? So, I mean, you know, take it for what it is.
All right.
All right.
I mean, I watched the match. I have thoughts about it. I haven't seen a whole lot of Sami Callihan matches. Probably less than 10.
Okay, so then what did you think about it? I mean, I've seen a ton of Sami Callihan.
We're probably 7 or 8. Like, I'll watch them. Like, I'll catch them on YouTube, or I'll, like, if there's a big match, I'll watch it on illegal cable.
But
I mean, this match sucked.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought so?
Yeah, I think it's a waste of Kenny Omega. I think Sami Callihan is like, as somebody who didn't know who Kenny Omega was 5 years ago, every single Kenny Omega match that I've watched has been basically great. And this was a
average?
Not even average. It's not that it was average. It's like I was into it, but it's just too hardcore for me. It's like a waste of Kenny Omega's talents.
Okay.
I get obviously Kenny Omega likes these matches because he does these matches all the time now. But Sami Callihan is not he's not somebody that I want to see fight Kenny Omega. After I've seen him fight in a couple G1s and fucking John Moxley and shit like that. Sami Callihan is a non-main eventer to me.
I'll say this. Do I agree with what your initial statement is just for the match? Maybe, maybe not. I thought the match was good just in the sense that I think the announcer said it best, where this is not what Kenny Omega does. He's a wrestler versus Sami Callihan, this is his MO. You know, I agreed to your match, and Kenny Omega still wins. So that to me it's like the bigger picture of Kenny Omega, where every time, at least this is the way I interpret it, every time you get Kenny Omega in the corner, he beats you. I'm not saying that it's going to be Paige that wins it. I'm a firm believer. To me, it's still 50-50. Is it going to happen? Probably. I don't know who's going to win that, and I really think right now it's a coin flip who wins, if anybody at all. Now, that said, I don't necessarily think this is an indictment on Kenny Omega.
No, it's
I think he went outside of his comfort zone.
It's not an indictment on Kenny Omega to me. It's an indictment on Sami Callihan that he is fucking amateur.
I won't go with amateur, but I mean, he's He's Mick Foley. He's got a niche that he can go with. I'm not mad about that.
He could have killed a couple guys in that match. He could have killed Brian Hebner and Kenny Omega
and I think that's kind of the...
Neither one of those pile drivers looked very careful.
No,
okay.
No argument there.
And also, I'm not a guy that's ever wrestled, so they might know more than me.
Something I don't.
But I will say that that's not the match that I want to see Kenny Omega fight.
I get that.
Kenny Omega should be Mike Tyson. Like, I only want to see him fight big matches, and I want to see him fight 25-minute matches, right?
You didn't see the Don Callis promo after this Kenny Omega match, did you?
No.
Okay, clearly you didn't, because I was getting ready to say, you sound like Don Callis on this one. Go check it out on
Don Callis was fucking great. Well, Don Callis said during the match, he goes, Sami Callihan's never fought anybody like Kenny Omega in his entire life.
And then after the match, you know, it's Kenny, holding the bell, Don Callis is yelling for, doctors here and there. I'm going to get the lawyer to, sue somebody, the whole shebang.
Let's talk about Jay White.
There you go.
Jay White comes out.
Okay.
Now, Jay White, me and you as NJPW marks, Jay White comes out and...
Didn't know it was coming, and I was just like, now, this is where I was like, oh, shit.
Right. And,
really?
And that's a big deal. And the Good Brothers and Don Callis and Kenny Omega put up the 2-Suite, and they go to the Impact...
the feed kind of cuts out or whatever.
The signature... or whatever, before Jay White can do it. Now,
okay.
This is interesting to me.
Shit, it's so many layers. So many layers.
I can't get in the back. I can't do it.
Wow. Okay. First things first, Jay White versus Omega is an easy way to get somebody... If you want to try to...
I don't want to watch Jay White versus Omega at Impact. I don't want to watch them in front of 30 people. No, yes, it does matter now that we have full crowds back.
Okay.
I don't want to see it.
Okay. If I could tell you this could happen at Arthur Ashe Stadium in September, would you be down for it?
If they allow people in there, yes.
They're already selling tickets for it. So I mean, okay.
Then I'm in. I'm into it. Arthur Ashe, St. Louis.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. I mean, let's not just poo-poo it because of, what is you think is going to happen. There's avenue. They wouldn't bring Jay White.
Jason, I watched this match. I wasn't taking phone calls. I was watching this match the whole time.
Okay.
I was at work, but I set some time aside so I could watch this match. This match was fine. This is not the Kenny Omega match that I want to watch. Now, listen, I was introduced to Kenny Omega fighting Okada 4 times in a row. All right? So I admit that I'm biased. And
Maybe a little spoiled. So be it. And I'm not mad at you for it.
For sure. For sure. I would never argue with that. But Sami Callihan is not the type of dude that I want to see Kenny Omega fight. He's just not. He's cartoonish. He is
Okay.
downright silly at points.
Okay. I'll just say this, and then if we disagree, we can move on.
We're going to have to.
It's like every wrestler or every boxer or every MMA guy is not going to face the same type of guy every time. In this scenario, this particular chapter, this is why it's intriguing, because Sami Callihan is so outside of the box that it's not necessarily what we expect Kenny Omega to be in. Whether you like the match or not, that's where the subjective part comes in. But to me, it's the macro for Kenny Omega. This is one chapter in the story of Kenny Omega.
Sure. And obviously Kenny Omega likes fighting these matches.
If he didn't, he wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And he does. But as a fan, as somebody who likes wrestling to be presented as a sport, as a fake sport, but a sport nonetheless, the Sami Callihan, I just think he's so cartoonish. He's like even more cartoonish than, I'll tell you what, as I used to say to all my buddies that only liked Bill and Sebastian and fucking all this pussy fucking rock, I used to say, well, Queens of the Stone Age is about as heavy as you can go, right? Like, that's as heavy as you can go. I can go way heavier. But people only like Queens of the Stone Age. But it's like Sami Callihan is just a little bit too far in the not even death match, just hardcore match shit. It's like the fucking tacks in the mouth. That means nothing to me. Like, I hate...
Okay, so if...
This is just me talking personally.
Okay.
I hate that shit. Like, it's dumb to me.
So is this across the board, or is this just for AEW/Impact? Because there's tax across the board, WWE...
No, it's everything.
Okay.
It's everything.
No,
It's just not my bag.
And that's okay. For me, like I said...
Obviously, Kenny likes it.
And I think this
if he
is
didn't
just,
like it, he wouldn't do it. Like you said.
This is the guy that wrestled a doll, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, let's just keep things...
And I've watched that match. And that match, 4.5 stars.
Okay. Now, that's it. From there...
He also wrestled a little girl. It was badass.
Thunder Rosa comes out to wrestle Deonna Purrazzo. Thunder Rosa... apparently just today signed with AEW, so she is AEW, an Impact, or not an Impact, but an AEW signed wrestler. Obviously, I think Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa is on deck. It's going to take a little bit to get there. Maybe they just do it in All Out. Neither here nor there. Thunder Rosa coming out. Other surprise guests, No Way Jose, Chelsea Green, and Aiden English had a nice little vignette, getting ready to come out coming out to Impact. So if you get a chance, check out Impact. The last two matches, the women's match, the men's title match, I think they're the two that you need to check out. Plenty of little, like I said, surprises coming in here and there. Chris Bay is the other surprise that I wouldn't say a surprise, but maybe a teaser where he might go to Bullet Club is the other thing to watch out for.
Listen, I'm glad that there are people that I am friends with, like Jason Cornelius Bell, who are fans of Impact. It like they need to have.
I'm a little surprised, especially because of like shit that you find funny with wrestling. There's shit that I find funny on Impact that if you watch it, I think you would find it funny.
Like Yano?
Wrestle House to me was something that I did not think I would like, and I thought it was really fucking funny.
This is banned from ringside.
Okay, so we got to talk about NXT quick.
Yeah.
Because my wife's going to kill me.
Your wife's going to kill you.
Samoa Joe calls out, Samoa Joe comes out yelling, and then Regal comes out. Zia Lee, and then we have Diamond Mine versus Fish and Kushida. What do you think about Diamond Mine versus Fish and Kushida?
Okay, I guess. I mean,
Diamond Mine lost.
Right, and
what's
I guess,
the point?
yeah.
What's the point of having them lose?
And there you go. That's my biggest problem with that. They should go over in some form or fashion.
Cameron Grimes and LA Knight pull up in the car. Tell me you liked it.
No, I mean, it's once again where LA Knight is supposed to be on top, the guy, and Cameron Grimes somehow, some way just gets underneath his skin.
He's selling
everything.
LA Knight.
Everything. Oh, you want me to get the bags? No problem. I used to get the bags and,
Don't even mind him.
And there is the twist on an old school angle.
They're great.
It's really fucking good. It's really fucking good.
And then when LA Knight comes out later, Cameron Grimes is behind him, like hyping it up.
No, shh. It's Miz and Mizdow. I wrote that down. It's Miz and Mizdow because that's exactly what it reminds me of. It's totally LA Knight, and it's not like Cameron Grimes is not over. I think this is just another way to really make sure he gets over, stays over.
This is a way to put these two guys together
for the next year or so, give or take.
6 months, 30 months,
whatever.
Who cares?
Whatever.
It's working.
If you want to do it a year from now, you can do it for a year from now and just bring this up.
You could do it on the main roster 2 years from now if you wanted to.
No. What happens on the main roster don't happen on the NXT. I think we kind of established that already.
You're right about that. Frankie Monet comes out with Jesse Camilla and Robert Stone. She squashes JC
Jane. God bless her.
JC Jane.
Mandy Rose, I guess, is kind of the two-part problem with this. She's hanging out, laying out on the announce table, so...
Would you have sex with Mandy Rose?
I'm going to go ahead and say safely yes.
I would too.
Good man.
The way it comes out...
Make sure you get divorced first.
The ways backstage and... Man... They're really good. And then we get Kyle O'Reilly versus Austin Theory, which is a great, like a legit great match.
It was a really good match.
Kyle O'Reilly actually loses his mind and starts beating the shit out of Austin Theory.
He flipped on him at the very end, which would probably lead us to...
It furthered the story, which was good. Then we had...
Adam Cole, baby.
We had Legado del Fantasma and Hit Row. And I guess Hit Row are baby faces now?
In this scenario, maybe, as long as it's not a long-term thing, I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's fine. Hit Row is a baby face against Legado.
Listen, I'll talk about Hit Row like this. As long as they're you know, as long as they know their place as a white man, as long as they know their place.
You can't say that.
And they think
I was going to say, I don't even know what the fuck you going to say afterwards. You cannot say that.
As long as Hit Row is funny.
There you go. Better choice of words.
And they know their place.
No.
As a white man, as long as they know their place.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, Vince.
Do you think people actually listen to the podcast and know that I'm joking when I say shit like that?
It's okay. Corey, when I went outside last week, Corey doesn't know that you're joking, and I had to literally, like, you know, he's like very sarcastic. He has a dry sense of humor, so you have to know when he's joking and when he's not. And Corey's like, I don't know. I don't think he likes me. I don't think he likes me. I'm like,
who?
Corey. Last Friday when I came up there to Jack Patrick's, not a sponsor, and I came there very late. Yeah, exactly.
I was fucked.
And she was all like, you know, Bill doesn't like me.
It was a chick?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't like her. So then we had
Guess I'm wrong.
Andre Chase versus Odyssey Jones. Let's say this. Odyssey Jones is a bad wrestler who's too green, that has been brought up too quick.
He reminds me of Mark Henry, good, bad, or indifferent. He reminds me of Mark Henry. Of
course he reminds you of Mark Henry. He's a fucking 5'11", 300-pound black dude.
No, I don't think he's bigger than that, but is he green? Yeah. Do I expect him to win this?
That's like me telling you remind me of Gary Payton.
I do remind me of Gary Payton. I expect him to at least make it to the finals, at the very least.
LA Knight MSK cuts a promo where they're getting ready to say what MSK stands for.
Motherfuckers.
And then Imperium cuts in. And I gotta say that if you're Imperium and you're talking about how shitty the rest of the tag teams are, and you mention the word purity because you're German, that's pretty good.
I like the fact that they cut into the promo just for the fact that it's like, oh, what's MSK stand for? Nobody knows. So it stands for, and then Imperial comes up. Obviously, this is going to set up a Imperium MSK feud. I'm down for it because I think all four guys can get in the ring and go for it. So, yeah, let's see what happens.
Let's stop using the word purity, though. Like, it makes it sound kind of Nazi.
I think that's maybe part of the reason why they used it.
LA Knight versus Drake. Drake wins. And LA Knight makes Cameron Grimes.
There you go. That's the only part that I liked about this because he made him do it and then he did it. And then after that, he's like, oh, I'm sorry.
And then we had Raquel Gonzalez versus Zia Lee, which is...
No, I won't say that. It
was a fine match.
It was a fine match. The ending was the kicker because did Zia Lee get hurt or not? And if she did get hurt, that might be a...
So you think that was a shoot? Because she took another gut-wrench powerbomb.
Right. Okay, I think that was probably... She did not get up after that twisting Vader bomb off the corner.
Here's the thing. If somebody is hurt during a match, they usually move the camera off the person.
Which they kind of did.
No, they didn't. They kept the camera on her.
No,
and Raquel Gonzalez was
moved to the
background.
corner, and then they kind of did a tight shot on Raquel into the corner.
Well, I'll say this: Raquel Gonzalez's Vader bomb, the twisting Vader bomb, looks pretty rough. Like,
I liked it until I saw Zia Lee not get up from it, and there's the problem.
It would probably break my ribs, and I'm a strong man.
I thought it was, Zia Lee got the wind knocked out of her, and then she still didn't get up. So
all right, and then we have Karrion Kross beating up Regal while Samoa Joe is out there. What you think? Please talk. Jason.
No, I like it. No, I like it. I would
Not
be
good radio.
No, I'd be lying if
you
I
don't
didn't.
talk.
No, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But still, a part of me is kind of like, I look to Monday, and Monday is a black crowd. Does it make me excited? Yeah, because I want to see what happens next week. But you fucked over Karrion Kross. You didn't have to. It's Jeff Hardy. It's Jeff Hardy.
He's so mad.
This is
It's Jeff Hardy.
Hey, we got some birthdays this week.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Fabulous Moolah.
Definitely dead. Sorry.
She's 98. Still alive. I just checked it.
No, she's definitely dead.
David Von Erich is 63. HBK, Shawn Michaels.
Dead and alive. Shawn Michaels alive. David Von Erich dead. I remember the obituary when I read that back as a kid. Thank you very much.
Fandango.
Definitely
is
alive.
40. I love Fandango. Kenny King is 40. Tozawa is 36. Tori Wilson.
Alive.
Tori Wilson is 46.
Alive.
Zack Sabre Jr.
My dog.
34. Angelo
Greatest
Dawkins.
wrestler alive.
You want to guess Angelo Dawkins?
36.
31. Finn Balor is 40. Roderick Strong is 38.
Didn't talk about Finn Balor.
Marty Scurll. You want to guess?
42.
31.
Jesus.
Tessa Blanchard is 26. Doink, the original Doink, is 64. Dolph Ziggler is 41. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is 52.
I think he's still alive.
Hangman Page is 30.
He's definitely alive.
Noam
And
Dar
hot as
is
fuck.
28. Nick Jackson is 32. And Sammy Guevara is 28. Hey, everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we
Sing it,
appreciate
Daddy.
you guys listen to our podcast. For Two Beer Zach Pullman, for
Check.
Christopher Murray, for
Check.
Murray the Murray Man Murray, for
Check.
Lucha Chris,
Bo.
for Vice,
Yep.
for
Check.
Bill's Beer Company.
Double check.
Everybody, support your local weed dealers.
Check.
Support your local restaurants.
Double check.
That's Jason Cornelius Bell.
Please,
I am
why,
Bill
bitches?
Vagey, and
Check, check.
everybody, you gotta boo the heels.
Boo!